Welcome back to another fun, exciting episode of Business Growth Time, where today we learn about Janet E. Johnson's exciting trip abroad and her little speaking tour. So we're going to talk about the Nomad Island Fest, but before we get into that, let's say hi to Janet because she's looking festive. And if you're
I thought, there's not much more time to wear these clothes that I've got, so I'm like, I might as well.
Her shoulders look warm. She's donned in red, and she may have changed her name to Mary. I'm not sure. What's going on, lady? How you been?
Good. I've been good. Like we said, I've been, catching up with some jet lag after the excursion. I call it an excursion. A friend of mine mentioned that there's a difference between travel and vacation. She goes, I learned this, recently. And I'm like, I see the difference now too.
I was just having the conversation between the difference of a trip and a vacation, just like on Monday evening. So that's very interesting. A trip is like when you have your kids and you're going to Disney and you're doing all these things, and a vacation is when you go somewhere and you have zero responsibility. And that sounds kind of like what you experienced.
Mine, but it was travel for sure. So I wouldn't say it was a vacation. I mean, no, it was not a vacation because it was very busy, because it was an event. So,
And so, all right, let's talk about it. You were at the Nomad Island Fest, which was at some wanky little island off of Portugal.
Yeah.
Let's start there. Where'd you go?
Yes, Madeira Island.
Madeira Island.
What it's called.
But it is near Portugal, right? Are we right about that?
You got it. Yes. We flew from Lisbon, ended up flying from Lisbon. Then you have to jump over. So it's not too long of a flight. I don't remember that flight because I was delirious at that point because that was my fifth flight on the way. But I think that was I felt like it was a hop, skip, and a jump compared to what I had been through. So an hour and a half, something like that, a couple hours max. So
okay. And so why were you there?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story, and so Desmond Dixon, who was on our show.
He was.
He has been now hired by me as a sales trainer for my sales team. And I don't know if you knew that or not, but yes, I hired him.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So then he introduced me to Michelle, who runs the Nomad Escape. And Michelle then in turn became my client with TikTok advertising, and we're going to be doing some Facebook ads as well. But bottom line is she became my client, and once she learned that I did the TikTok ads, she then turned and said, I'd like you to come speak on TikTok ads. And I was one of the last, I think I was the last speaker to be added in. So it was very kind of last minute, you know what I mean? So I think I had 3 weeks to prepare. And so I kind of really did it on a whim, and that's kind of how I ended up there. I thought, I haven't spoken a while at an event. Let's go to Portugal. Looks fun. Egypt was my thing, for a couple of years, and then COVID hit and life changed. And so it was actually this exact same timing. I was in Egypt right now 3 years ago.
That's right. And you just got back. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Timing. So, all right. So we host a podcast. You meet one of our guests. They start doing some work for you. They introduce you to someone that you do some work for, and then that person has you come speak. That's pretty awesome.
It's the power of networking, I guess. Yeah, there you go.
You should network more. Life is good, I think. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. All right, we're gonna start a count at some point about the opportunities this podcast has presented for you, and then the opportunities this podcast has presented for me. You're winning so far. Egypt, Portugal. I don't think I've even made it to Toledo. Come on, man. This is some crap.
Yeah, but it was it was not because he was on the podcast. After that, we reconnected. So it was very interesting. And the other side of it is that I did tell him, I go, I don't know what you did. I go, Mr. Sales Guy, because I ignore most people that reach out to me to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So things happen for a reason.
He's you know what? we'll definitely figure out what episode Desmond was on. That was a great episode. And as I recall, both you and I were on his show as well.
Yes, exactly. The other thing is he talked about NFTs more, and we probably need to have him back on to talk about sales training.
Oh, that's a really good point. My friend Jeff Clatterbaugh has gotten steeped in NFTs over the past 6 months and is building a platform, and he's now chatting with Fanzo all the time because Brian Fanzo is deep into that world.
Yes.
I was going to ask Fanzo, hey man, remember Blab?
Oh, totally. Actually, that's one of my connections, one of my best connections I made. It was after dinner, later by the bar. I got introduced to Simone. And Simone, I should get these last names of people. And sure enough, what happened? He had been on Blab. So then we're like, Blab! And so then we went off on a whole tangent. So Simone, where's his last name? Vincenzi, probably. I'm terrible with Vincenzi, and he does a lot with webinars, and he's an online marketer. So it was kind of, we just chatted about, the old school things like Blab. So
that's hilarious. That thing's still around, whether it is or it isn't. And, just for the record, Desmond Dixon, episode 181, for those that are looking for it. So that's, wow. I thought, it seemed like it was a long time ago that we did that. Close to a year. Maybe.
It was, but we only put out podcasts every couple of weeks. So
yeah, we've slowed our roll a little bit. Yeah. We're, Janet, evidently, people thought Janet was much younger than she was while she was there. Yeah. But Janet's always very honest about her age. So
no, I shouldn't have been, because they made me sign up for some dating app. So there's another shout out for the dating app called Nomad Date. And I go through here and they're all 25, 35. I'm like, why didn't you make me lie about my age? I go, you put me on here and I'm like the grandma, which I am, but anyway.
That is true. How is grandma-ness?
Grandma-ness is good. We don't see her too often, but we'll see her now coming up with the holidays. So yeah.
Okay. Is she far away from you? Where does she live?
35 minutes, so it's not like we see her every day or anything like that. And I've been traveling, so it's yeah.
Well, she's pretty new still, right?
She is, and she's got another grandma. She's got a great grandma. She's got a lot of, people. So
yeah, she's got people.
Yes, right. Exactly.
And you're just the mom of the father, so that's a whole different relationship.
True.
You're not the mother of the mother, and that takes precedence.
Makes a difference. Yep, it does.
Gotcha.
It does.
All right. Well, let's talk. So you get there. Let's talk about the trip. And I know we just did a show all about TikTok ads, probably 3 or 4 episodes ago. Yeah. So we can link to that as well for people that want to take a deeper dive into the TikTok advertising world. So I don't spend too much time on that.
No.
But in related news, remember Mari-Lise was on our show from Estonia?
Oh, yes.
I just did an event with her this week, and they were talking about needing someone to talk about TikTok. So she's going to reach out to you.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
That'll be fun.
See, the networking thing is happening again.
That's it. So, all right. So we talked. You found out 3 weeks ago because your client said, I want you to come do this. What's the decision process of, hey, should I travel, third around the world in 3 weeks or not? How does that what happens when you're like,
when you're as crazy as me, you just do it. I don't know. It's a just do it thing. Stop thinking about it. Imperfect action. This was definitely imperfect. I mean, that's what that was the name of my book, supposedly. So, I think it's one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I haven't had the opportunity to travel in a while, and it's time to do it again,
Got it.
And then also the other side of it is the it just sounds good that you spoke on TikTok ads across the world. It's one of those things. It's that, authority piece as well. So there was, kind of a win-win both ways. And in addition to that, Michelle had hired me. So it was one of those things where and Desmond, I knew was going to be a speaker as well. So I knew I'd meet him. So I knew some of the people ahead of time already. So I thought, let's check it out. So
I like it. I like it a lot. So the decision was pretty quick, pretty easy. You knew there'd be some people and you'd get out of Dodge for a little while. That makes sense. The TikTok ads episode is episode 187 for those of us that are counting. But then you get there. Tell us about, it sounds like the trip there was maybe a little fraught. Didn't
it
go
was
as
AT
smoothly as
double
planned.
L, but we'll just pass that over. Yeah, it was not fun at all. 5 flights it was too much. But once I got past that and past my exhaustion, got in there, met my roommate, never met her before in my life. Like, you know what I mean? You walk into your room and you're tired as heck, and and she was still awake. I thought I'd for sure have to be super quiet, but she was still up because I didn't get in till like midnight. So she was great. She was great. We, at first you don't know each other, so you just kind of do your thing. But then once we got to talking, we basically, every time we went back to the room, Leanne and I just talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And there's just so many things we talked about. It was, it was kind of crazy. We talked a lot about, and we'd have to do a whole episode on this, but the colors of people. And so, the yellow, blue, green, that type of thing.
I don't know a lot of blue or green.
It'd have to be a whole nother show. But super, super quickly, I could tell you, I am definitely a yellow, but I have a lot of red as well. So yellow is more the fun. Red would be the dominant, goal-setting, driving person. Green is the softer, more introverted person. So I'm not much of that. And then blue is analytical. So that's kind of, we talked a lot about that. And then, when we went back to the room, we'd be like, oh, so what was that person? What was that person?
That reminds me of What's Your Epic Code? That
very similar.
We did like 100 episodes ago.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of like DISC, and that's really kind of based on the 4 temperaments that brought to fame and fortune by the man Hippocrates. Right? So all those personality type tests, whether it's Myers-Briggs or DISC or whatever, all started thousands of years ago by the same guy that the doctors take the Hippocratic Oath from. Right? It's like 2,300-year-old stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yes. Yeah. So it is cool. And I could put a link in. Leanne sent me a link. This is kind of her specialty. And so she sent me a link to do a freebie test if people want to do it.
Nice. I want to take it.
Yeah. I mean, it's, we kind of have an idea, for sure. But, and you have to shift I know I became more red over the years because I had to. So, right. But my overall genuine personality is probably more the yellow. So that was one thing that, was kind of fun too. And so we were always doing that kind of thing. And then we had big events. So they had 3 types of like workshops. One was the learning business. And then they had more of the setting goals, just looking at your life type thing, kind of the Tony Robbins feel in a way. So they had that side of things too. And then they really, really, I think one of the things I felt, because I've been to a lot of conferences, you've been to a lot of conferences, Terry. I mean, we typically meet people. Either we hang out with the speakers. If you're a speaker, you hang out with the other speakers or whatever, and, or you maybe go to the bar afterwards and you meet a couple people and you make friends. But that's really all it is. You know what I mean? It's like not, and yeah, you have a blast and you meet people, but they were very, very intentional on helping you get to know everybody there. So wow. It was like an 80, I think they had 85 people. They're aiming at, max 150 next year. But I felt like I got to know I feel like I met 75% minimally, and then got to know just tons of people, and you became great friends, So
how long was it?
What?
How long were you there?
I was a week, but mine was cut short to 6 days because the late flight, and I was in I had to leave right away in the morning the last day. So I missed the last day on stage and I missed the first day on stage. So crazy. But yeah, I missed a lot of pieces in the beginning and the end. But the end wasn't, it was just kind of saying goodbye, thanking people and that kind of thing. But the front end would have helped because I didn't know what was going on with certain things because they explained everything during that first part.
Yeah.
They're laughing at me because I had the badge, and there was a little wristband inside of it I was supposed to put on. I didn't know. And the wristband was still sitting inside of it. They're like, why is it? I go, I didn't get the instructions. So,
And you didn't put two and two together that the wristband may go on.
I didn't even pay attention. I just shoved the thing on and didn't even look at it.
How many speakers do they have? And were they day-long events? Were there excursions? Because you mentioned.
No, what was really cool about this is, so let me tell you about a typical day. The typical day, you'd get up in the morning and you'd go to breakfast and then you'd go to the first event, which was all in the big room. And then you would have, that took a couple hours and that was in a bigger auditorium area. And you had to walk across the street, but it was walking distance. So then you came back, you could go to lunch or you could skip lunch. There wasn't lunch served. So a lot of times I just had my snacks that I brought on the airplane. I brought a whole bunch of snacks. I didn't really need that much. So I just skipped lunch. You can go back and then you had like a 4 hour break. 3 hours, I think is what it was. So you could do what you wanted to do. You could go by the pool. You could get work done. You could network with other people, whatever you wanted to do. And then they had, and you could skip anything. Like they weren't like Nazis about, like not skipping things. So you could skip whatever you wanted to. So, if I looked at it and I went, that's something, the sunny day, we have one sunny day. So the one sunny day I did skip some of the stuff because I'm like, I'm getting by that pool on the one day we have. So, but it was also not topics that I felt like I had to see. But then in the afternoons, like mine was with, in one smaller room. And then there was another one at the same time in the afternoon. And then there was a, building thing and, the goal setting things was after that, or just digging deep into, mindset. And, there were just a lot of things like that. So that was in the afternoon. And then you go back, you have an hour, whatever, and then go to dinner. And then some would hit the bar and some wouldn't. So
nice.
And then they did karaoke at night, and they did the second night though, there was a big party and islanders came to our hotel for this. So it was a mix of people. So it was very interesting because I'm like, where's the people from our event compared to, so that was kind of interesting too. And then, so that was a big party. And then they had the big party the last night.
Okay. All right. And you did well at the big party, I assume?
Yeah, that was my birthday. Yes. So it went well.
That's awesome.
It was a good birthday. Let's put it that way. It was fun. It was a blast. Everybody had a blast. Some people said, Desmond said it was the most epic party he's ever been to in these events. So it was pretty cool. It was
Is he a part of the event team or is he just friends with the person that puts it on?
He actually is her sales coach as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
So and then he was a speaker as well.
Tell us about a couple of takeaways from your talk, and then tell us about a couple of takeaways from the event as a whole.
Okay. Well, my talk really, we talked a lot about just, how TikTok ads work. We just talked about that it's kind of the newest, latest, greatest, but I also still believe that you have to test Facebook ads as well. Just don't jump over to TikTok and think that's all I need, because they are lacking a few things. So we did talk a little bit about that. And then, but TikTok ads right now is just very hot. So we talked a lot about the creatives. And with that, I mean, I can mention it right here. I also had a giveaway. So it's janetdjohnson.com/TikTok. That's all you have to do. Go to that and you can get the download, because I didn't want to go through the step-by-step on how to set all this up on TikTok ads, but I have a download that people now can go through. So that I gave that away there. And so I'm giving away here too. And I'll be, talking about that more. And then it goes through a lot of the creatives and what you should have in your videos too, as well. So, because it's all about video there. So that cheat sheet kind of will, help. So that's janetjohnson.com/TikTok.
Nice.
And then as for other ones, Terry, you'd find the one interesting. His name is Jimmy. I'm always got to find these last names. Where is he? Naring, Naraine. And he talked about video courses, and he makes his living completely on Udemy. So just creating courses. That's what he does. And he travels the world with his cat, and they literally just go place to place to place with his girlfriend and the cat on the backpack. Yeah. So I talked to them quite a bit. They were my neighbors downstairs, so I was waving from my balcony, and they had the cat out, and I'm like, I love cats. So, and the cat's name is Bali.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Where evidently this Nomad Express, Nomad Island Fest tour is going at some point, eh?
Yes. They're doing that in February. So reach out to us if anybody's interested, because I can definitely get you more info. And we'll put a link also in there. But right now they're running like some early bird specials. So anybody that's interested in going to Bali right now, definitely jump on it, because it's a great event. It will be smaller. It's not going to, this is their big one each year. So this one's a little bit bigger. So they're looking at, I don't know the number exactly, but maybe 20, 30, something like that. It won't be quite as big. But yeah, that's a great way to check out Bali, do business, write it off. I mean, there's a lot of, perks to it. So
there's a lot. All right. So a couple of takeaways from the event. What sessions did you sit in and learn from?
The ones I found the best, I actually was just filling out this. The ones I liked, there were a couple of aha moments for me, like the Tony Robbins thing in my life. So that was like a little different. We're not going to get into that, but just some things that, really hit me on some of the exercises that we did with a circle. We did one that you had to look in the person's eyes straight for like a minute. It's really hard to do. And then you had to speak with the eyes. People were bawling, and and then I held it in, but then people would come along that were crying, and then they'd make me cry. So yeah, it ended up being like a cry fest. But that was it's a good exercise, because it kind of like releases something in you in a way too. So it's hard to explain, but. And then I really liked the 7-figure panel. It was nomads that really, they all make 7 figures traveling the world. So that's pretty cool. Chris Reynolds, he runs a podcast called 7-Figure Business, 7-Figure Businesses, 7-Figure. I wish I knew it. We will put that in the notes as well. So Chris Reynolds, really, really cool guy. We had a lot of fun with them. And I've heard of his podcast before. I know I've heard of it. So that was really good as well. I would say those were some of my top ones. And then Petra, she actually has a company that will connect you to your soulmate. But everybody learned that I'm not ready yet, because I was just divorced. So it's not for me quite yet, but it's targeting women. And she really dives really, really deep into, finding your soulmate, how to find your soulmate. So it was interesting. Her talk was very interesting as well. Some good tips there.
Chris Reynolds might be the 7-figure business method.
That's it. Yep.
That might be him.
Yep. I knew it was 7-figure business something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
You did good. So sometimes we just say things so when the information gets compiled, that Joanne knows where to look or what to write. So I know it seems like we're saying it for the audience, but sometimes it's an audience of one, people.
Yeah, so, we want it in the show notes, so it will definitely be there too. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, all in all, it sounds like it was an amazing experience, and you're planning on going back, as I understand.
Yes, and I'm crossing my fingers there's better weather. The last story I'll end with is we did take a Jeep truck ride one day. So we all hopped in Jeeps and went up to the top of the mountain, and it was super fun. We had a blast until the end. And the end was awful. When you have to go to the bathroom, you're freezing to death, and you're going down bumpy roads the whole time on mountains. It's like, It was so cold.
Freeze.
It snowed. It snowed. It literally had ice snowstorm at the top. I got drenched we walked through mud to get to, I can't even tell you. It was just awful to me, and it was awful to many that did the Jeep ride at the very end because of the weather mainly, but otherwise it was really fun and, they made it fun.
Is it just because of the altitude, or, I mean, was it warmer where you were by the water, or not even?
That it was, but we had some bad weather. Like it was definitely warmer going down. Yes, it for sure was. At one point, I just had a tank top on when we started the Jeep trek.
Okay.
And then as you went up, it got colder. But it was cold enough I'm like, I didn't know I needed gloves and hats and mittens and all this stuff. But yeah, so.
It does not sound like you represented Minnesota particularly well.
I was leaving Minnesota. Which we're having a total snowstorm right now, and it's like got layers and layers of snow right now. It's crazy. So yeah, so I would say why do I want to go back, and why do I want to bring my son? I think that the way they built the experience was really, really good, and just meeting the like-minded entrepreneurs like us is really, really a cool experience. But there was just so much. It's hard to explain it. But I also know that I'm probably not going to live the nomad lifestyle at this point in my life. Will I travel? Sure. But can I be a nomad? That was harsh, and I'm not cut out for it, I don't think. I can be a partial nomad, but
a part-time nomad, yeah.
Like Mike O'Neill he travels to Costa Rica for like 2 months. Yeah, I could consider that down the road or something like that. But bottom line is, I think the event was just so enlightening for people. And I think it would just be a great thing because my son hasn't figured out what to do. He's going to be 19. He'll be just graduated from high school, and he does want to travel. So let's give him some exposure to entrepreneurs that have figured out a way to make money as they travel. So it's pretty cool.
That's a beautiful thing. Very, very cool. All right. Well, this is an interesting and a little bit of a diversion from our typical show, but Janet had a unique and incredible experience, and we wanted to share that. And I'm sorry, I said experience when clearly the word of the day is excursion. So let me double back on that. Well, yeah,
those are E words too. We didn't even think.
I heard them. I heard them, Janet E. Johnson. I heard them. So no, that's kind of fun. Sounds like it was a cool trip all the way around.
It was amazing. So shout out to Michelle, her team. They did a great job on everything, and look forward to joining them next year.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you can't wait until next year and want to hear more episodes, usually more focused on actual tactics or strategies you can use right now to grow your business, head on over to businessgrowthtime.com/blog and look at the 190-ish episodes that we have there for you. Many with fantastic guests. We mentioned a few today, Desmond and Michael and Marlise, and about 72 others. And then quite a few of us just having conversation about things that we do on a regular basis to help our clients and to grow our business. Is there any other place they could find us, Janet E. Johnson?
Just basically our blog, Janet E. Johnson. See, I'm on the Janet E. Johnson. businessgrowthtime.com/blog, businessgrowthtime.com/podcast. And that's where you're going to find everything. And then, our best place I think we've talked about is Instagram. Just look up Business Growth Time, follow us there, and boom, you're going to see every episode that's out.
We have lovely graphics on all of them too. Hat tip, Carlos. Nice job. All right. Cool. Well, this is fun. I'll look forward to seeing you at some point. It's been 25 years, but I rush into that.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.